love sandwiches, and I grew up eating a lot of bologna and cheese sandwiches when I was younger. When I became a vegetarian, it was more difficult to find some ideas for good, healthy sandwiches. So I hope you'll stay with me. I've got this really great sandwich I want to share with you. I want to introduce you to a food that I think is really good. It's a nice option to peanut butter and jelly. I like peanut butter, but sometimes I get tired of it. And I like savory foods, sometimes for sandwiches. So I recently tried this recipe, and I really loved it. And so I wanted to share that with you. Now, the foods that I'm going to share with you today are whole plant foods. So that means they don't include any dairy, they don't include eggs, they don't include any meats, of course. And these are foods that support our health, okay? So these are foods that God gave us that cause us to be healthy and strong. They prevent disease. They're what we call anti-inflammatory foods. They're foods that are really rich in nutrients. And so when we eat a diet primarily based on plant foods, whole plant foods, we're going to generally be healthier. Now, there are meat substitutes that we could buy as vegetarians, and we can make sandwiches with those, and that's fine once in a while. But most of the time, those meats or artificials, the substitutes, they're high in sodium. They have a list of ingredients that I can't even read part of the time. But I wanted to introduce you to these soy curls. Now, these are a food that have one ingredient, and I really love that. It's got whole, non-GMO soybeans. It's made from a whole soybean, and they have a nice meaty-like texture. And when you season them well, they really make a good meal. Now, what you have to do is soak them, and so because they're dehydrated, and I've got some soaking, and it takes about 10 minutes in a little bit of warm water, and you're going to soak them until they're nice and soft, and I am going to pour them in here to drain them before we cook them. And one thing about soy curls is that when you buy them, first of all, they're not available in a lot of stores. They're available in Adventist book centers and also directly from Butler Foods, which is where I bought them. Now, the soy curls, since they're made with whole soybeans, that means they have oil in them. You know, soybean oil comes from soybeans. So when you get a product made with the whole bean, they've got oil in them. Now that oil, when it's exposed to air, it can become rancid, and that gives it kind of an off flavor and an off smell, and it's not very appetizing. So what I recommend, you can keep it on the shelf if you're going to eat it in a short period of time, but if you're going to keep it for a while, even the company suggests that you refrigerate it or you put it in the freezer, and I just put it in freezer bags and keep it in my freezer. So that's one thing. Now, so that goes for any whole grain, or even nuts. Anytime you have a food that has oil in it, like the whole grains, your whole grains have the oil contained in them. And when you have like something like whole wheat flour or oats, it's always better to keep it in the freezer or the refrigerator. So what we're going to do now, we've got our soy curls drained, and we are going to cook them. I've sprayed a little bit of spray already. I'm going to put just a little bit more of the olive oil spray, and we're going to brown them. We want this moisture to cook off, and we are going to add a delicious sauce, barbecue flavored sauce, to these. And I know you're going to love them. When I first made this sandwich, I just absolutely loved it, and I said, I've got to share this with people. So for the sauce, we're going to take a small can, about 6 ounces, of tomato paste. And, you know, you could if you want to do it easily, you could just buy a barbecue sauce from the store and you could season it up that way. But I like to know what's in my foods most of the time, so I make my own sauces when I'm able to do that. Now we've got some maple syrup. It's about 1/4 cup. And then we're going to add some water, 1/2 cup of water. And we are going to put, I've got 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, and I've got a teaspoon of onion powder and 1/2 teaspoon of cumin and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And we're going to add those seasonings. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. You can, anytime you have a recipe, you can, if you're dealing with something like high blood pressure and you want to limit the salt, just cut back on it if you'd like. It's always better to use less of those ingredients, like even the maple syrup. If you want to limit it, if you're diabetic, just cut back on the maple syrup and adjust it. The only artificial sweetener I recommend, and it's not even really artificial, but I should say non-caloric sweetener that I recommend is stevia. So if you're a diabetic and you want to sweeten something, I recommend using stevia if you want to avoid concentrated sweets. Okay, and we can hear this starting to cook already over here. And this is our delicious sauce. And one more ingredient that we're going to add is our liquid smoke. And I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of liquid smoke. Don't be afraid of liquid smoke. And you probably heard this before, but that smoke, when you cook meat on a barbecue, it can cause substances that are cancerous, cancer-causing. Now, liquid smoke is water-soluble flavored. So the chemicals that are in the smoke that are toxic for us are fat-soluble. So you don't really have to worry about liquid smoke. So we're going to add about 1/2 teaspoon to that. Give it a good smoky flavor. And then we're just going to throw this whole thing into our pan here and season our soy curls. Now, with these soy curls, you can do so many things with them. If you want to make it Asian style, you could add your onions and your vegetables, and you can use it in a stir fry. You can season it however you like. You could add ginger and all kinds of flavors to it, and vegetables. And what we want to do is cook it until it's a little bit brown and a little bit drier. So we're going to get this all mixed in. It is such a yummy flavor. All right, almost mixed in here. Now, this sandwich that we're making, we're going to top it with coleslaw. So I have a really easy coleslaw recipe that we're going to make now. And if you want to make your own mayonnaise, you can do that. There are all kinds of recipes out there for making your own vegetarian mayonnaise. You can use a tofu base if you want to. There are lots of ideas on the web. All right, we're going to let that cook for a while. Now for coleslaw, you want to add a little bit of sweetener to that and a little bit of acid, like lemon juice, and that's what we're going to use today. I've got some salt here, and we're going to add that directly. And we're going to make our sauce with a little bit of maple syrup. And then we're going to add our lemon juice. That was about 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And we've got about 1/2 tablespoon of lemon juice. You don't want your sauce to be too thin. So we're going to mix that all together. And we're going to keep an eye out on our soy curls. Now you see this salad? It's full of color. I encourage you to include color in your diet every day. And I'm not talking about M&Ms. I'm talking about fruits and vegetables. Those phytonutrients, antioxidants, vitamin C is a wonderful antioxidant in all of these vegetables here. Vitamin A, beta carotene, full of fiber. So these are all disease-fighting nutrients. Eat your fiber foods. They're so important for your intestines. They can even reduce cholesterol and help you control your blood sugar if you're diabetic. So even eating something like this soy curl, you're going to get some fiber in it because you're eating the whole soybean. So as much as possible, a lot of the soy-based artificial meat substitutes are based on soy protein isolate. Now that is not a whole soy food like this. That is a very processed form of the soybean. So like I said, to use something like this, again, you're getting the whole food, and that's really good. Okay, so we're going to mix this all together, and I love coleslaw. In fact, there's a restaurant in town that I love their slaw so much I go there and order a side order to take out with me when I don't have time to make it. Okay, so we're going to mix all this together. See those lovely colors? All those different colors are phytonutrients. Those are nutrients that you want to try to include in your diet regularly, whether it's purple and orange. Don't get hooked on just one thing, one color, or one food like eating just bananas every day. Try to eat a variety every day, and that'll ensure that you're getting the nutrients that you need to support your health and to prevent disease. All right, this is looking so yummy. All right. All right, there. Let's see how we're doing with our soy curls. You see how they're drying a little bit? A little bit of moisture is okay, but we want a lot of that water to evaporate, and all those flavors are going to go into those soy curls. All right, let's finish this off. And then I have, I'm kind of excited. I like pumpkin pie, but I'm too lazy to make it. So what I came up with was a pumpkin pudding that I'm going to share with you. It still gives you the taste of pumpkin pie, but it doesn't have the crust, and it's a lot easier to make. And it's that time of year when I like to start including some of those good holiday foods. Now, pumpkin is really good. It's not something you have to be afraid of. When you use the canned pureed pumpkin, it's just that, just 100% pumpkin. And pumpkin is super rich in nutrients. It's got fiber, because again, this is a whole food. It's got fiber, and it's got a lot of beta carotene, antioxidants. It's just very rich in nutrients that support health. So there's nothing, you don't have to feel guilty when you eat pumpkin in this way. Even there are some good healthy recipes for pumpkin pie too if you have the time to make it. But today we're going to kind of take a shortcut and make some pudding. All right. Now, I want to share with you something that I do every day, and that is I grind flaxseed every day, and I eat it every day. And so I wanted to show you, because this recipe includes a little bit of flaxseed meal in it. Now you can buy flaxseed meal it's already ground up, and you can buy it in little bags. And again, what I mentioned at the beginning is that if you buy a seed that's ground, if you buy a whole food and it's ground, it's got the oil in it. And that oil can go rancid if you don't keep it in a refrigerator or a freezer or grind it fresh. So I recommend grinding your flaxseed fresh if you can. And what I use is a coffee grinder. I don't drink coffee, but I have one in my house just specifically for my flaxseed. Now, flax seeds are really tough. They have a tough outer coating, which is actually really good for our guts, to promote health and to prevent disease of our bowel. And it's actually got two kinds of fiber, and that's the soluble and the insoluble fiber, and both of them are really important. The insoluble fiber is that fiber that helps sweep away our LDL cholesterol, brings down the cholesterol. It also helps control our blood sugar. These are such a great food. It can even help prevent depression. So it can help our brain chemistry. So I eat it every day. I sprinkle it on my cereal, or you can put it on your toast, or if you don't like it, just mix it in some juice, and it's really good. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a tablespoon and put it in our coffee grinder, and we're going to grind it. We're going to grind it for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. Okay, so what we end up with is a powdery substance, and the outer coating has been broken down. If you eat the seeds whole, they're going to come out the other end whole, okay? So they're not going to break down, and you're not going to get the benefit of the seed and all the nutrients that are inside of it. So we're going to add that to, I'm just going to pour that powder right in here. And what that does is not only adds super healthy fats, actually it's a great source of omega-3 fats, but it also thickens. So that's really important in this recipe. Oh, wow, this is looking so delicious. Okay, we've got some good browning going on here. Now, when you're sauteing and you don't want to use oil, using a pan like this is great. Using a spray like this. Oftentimes you can saute, say, something like onion without even using any oil. You can use water to saute in. Getting away from using too many fats, I think, is really good. We get far too many fats and oils in our diet here in America. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. And this is almost done. Okay, so we're going to add our pumpkin. Again, this is just canned pumpkin, and I know you've seen it in the stores. It's not the kind that's already seasoned or sweetened for pumpkin pie. Okay, so this is just canned pureed pumpkin. 1 can, 15-ounce can. Now I'm going to use some cashews. I've washed them. Generally, if you buy raw cashews, it's a good thing to wash them. And you don't really have to soak them if you have a good blender, like a Vitamix. They should blend up really well. Now this recipe can get pretty thick, and you may have to add a little bit of vegan milk if you want to it. To kind of thin it down a little bit. This is, again, some maple syrup. We have about 1/4 of a cup. We have some cinnamon. We're going to add a little bit of vanilla. And we're going to blend that up and see how it blends. It's, like I said, pretty thick. So we'll see if we need to add a little bit of milk to that. Let me just... This is getting to the point where it's just about done. And I'm going to turn that down. All right. So I'm going to turn this on. Okay, now if there are a few pieces of cashews in there that didn't get blended up, I say delicious. I love that. I love nuts in my food. Nuts are a great way to get healthy fats. So don't be afraid of eating nuts. Studies show that people that eat nuts, add nuts to their diet for their heart health, actually don't tend to gain weight. So don't be afraid of eating nuts. I'm not saying eating a lot of them, but eating a little bit of nuts every day is a great idea. Again, a whole plant food with healthy fat. Now we're going to put this in here so you can see what kind of a texture it is. There are some pieces of cashews, which I'm not afraid of, but if you want to blend it more, you can do that also. And that's what it looks like, and it tastes so yummy. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to finish cooking our soy curls, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So stay with me, okay? Okay, we have our soy curls all cooked up, and they look so yummy. Again, it's really nice to brown them and get them a little bit dry. They have a really good chewy texture. So what we're going to do is put this on our whole wheat bun. Yum, I could taste it already. There we go. You could pile it as high as you like it. It's got such a good meaty texture. When you grow up eating meat, you still kind of appreciate that texture. But this doesn't come with any of the cholesterol and none of the saturated fat. And again, it comes with all those wonderful advantages of eating whole plant foods. I'm going to add just a little bit more to that because I want mine piled high. All right. There we go. And we're going to add our coleslaw on top of that. And oh, how delicious that's going to be. You could eat it on the side if you prefer. But however it is, eat your fruits and vegetables, eat your colors, and you will be healthier for it. Every day, I suggest at every meal that you get at least one raw fruit or vegetable. And that's going to help you stay healthy, keep your bowels going, and add all those wonderful nutrients that protect your cells from damage due to all the oxidation and all those free radicals. Okay, so there we go. We've got our sandwich, and this is the pumpkin pudding that we made earlier, and I've topped it with a little bit of plant-based topping. Now you can make that yourself. There are lots of recipes. I know a lot of people use the water from chickpeas, and that's fine too, but I bought that. It's frozen, and you can find a lot of those in your local grocery store. So there you have it. A plant-based meal that tastes good. It's full of nutrients. Anytime you see those colors, you're going to get lots of nutrients, lots of fiber. When you eat them, they're going to help prevent disease in your body. So I hope you try some of these recipes and let us know if you like it. And we are looking forward to seeing you again. So live well, stay healthy. I wish you the best.